all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Pod at the Palace post-game show. I'm Curtis Wilkerson, joined by Andrew Ellis of Inside Arkansas, following a 70-58 win for the Razorbacks over LSU at Bud Walton Arena. We've got a lot to get to, especially your reaction, because this is a live reaction show, so make sure you get in the chat here. Look, Arkansas they're just so good now that they can sleepwalk through an entire half of basketball and still win an SEC game by double digits, you know? I mean, listen, it was not pretty in the first half at all. We'll talk about it, but they made adjustments. They turned it on in the second half, and they wound up handling their business on a night where, coming into the game, I'm not saying he's the messiah of bracketology here, but Joe Lunardi said an Arkansas win would move them into the field ahead of Georgia. Well, Arkansas won. You wonder about style points. Well, maybe not as many as you'd hope for, but analytically speaking, they did wind up outperforming the expectations there. Meanwhile, other teams on the bubble, like Wake Forest, took a horrible quad 3 loss at home to Florida State. Last time I checked, Oklahoma was really struggling with Missouri. So all in all, Arkansas did what they needed to do, got a dub. They're 14-9 now, got that 4th win in SEC play, and we move on. Andrew, what say you?
Curtis, if you had woke me up this morning and you had showed me this exact result and you had said, this is what's going to happen for the Arkansas Razorbacks tonight, you know what I would have said to you? I would have said, sure. Yeah. That's about what I would have said. I wouldn't have said, whoa, dude, Curtis, man, that's awesome. I also wouldn't have been like, 12-point win over LSU, not good enough. I would have said, sure, yeah, that's fine. I'll sign up for that. And I think that's kind of my reaction. I'm assuming that's how most fans are going to feel. You said sleptwalk through the first half there. Yeah, you give the 3, you're down 1. Shout out to all those LSU first half money line bettors. You can cash that ticket. For some reason, Arkansas just doesn't like to shoot at home. It never is really pretty, but man, this is a game that I feel like you said, it kind of went how it needed to go for Arkansas. Hell, it's the kind of performance that when Arkansas was in Baton Rouge a few weeks ago and they were looking for their first SEC win, we were begging for something like this. And so not going to get too many complaints out of me. You're certainly not going to get me busting out of my jeans excited about this performance, but it's what Arkansas needed. And I feel like you said, the style points are important. I felt like if the difference between a 3 and 4 point win over LSU and a 12-point win, I feel like is notable. I certainly would have maybe preferred that 16, 18-point cushion. But like you said, I think this is going to be the kind of game that you're not going to move the needle too much by beating a bad LSU team at home. But the fact that they did it by double digits is nice. Covering the spread is nice. I definitely don't have too many complaints. Shout out to Zvonimir Ivisic, man. What a dude. And it's kind of crazy to think back. And there were many times where this Razorback team, he wasn't really a big part of the rotation. I know he was banged up and in and out of the lineup and hasn't always been playing this well, but it's kind of crazy to watch this team and this offense play with him now and be like, I know why they were only scoring 58 points back in the day. It's because they didn't have him as a big part of what they were doing. And so his performance was kind of all Arkansas needed tonight, but I thought they did what they needed to do. No complaints.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. First half was a little bit weird, man. They just looked, and sometimes that happens. We always talk about let down games and things like that. It felt like that's what we were getting ourselves into early on. Just wasn't a lot of pop and energy in the building. They seemed a little lackadaisical, maybe not super, super focused, kind of soft with the basketball in there. The defense was kind of getting back to some of those old habits where they were really struggling with the pick and roll coverage and switching and the short rolls and the slips. Like it just was, it was uneven, man. And Cal was really letting them have it. I could see it from press row. I know you could see it from where you were sitting at, and John was right there by the bench, and Cal was letting them have it. Sometimes that happens. I think they were fortunate maybe to only be down 1 at halftime. Second half, man, cleaned some things up, made some adjustments. started forcing some turnovers, getting out on the run, and then they were rolling a little bit. So was good to see them respond within the course of a game. Hell, through most of non-conference play, what were we doing? We were like, oh, this is a second half basketball team. Well, I guess they were in this one. So you kind of take that there, man. You mentioned Ivisic, my God, 25 points, 10 of 13 from the floor, and only 3 of those were 3-pointers. He's getting better and better and more confident scoring and finishing around the rim. And a lot of that coincides with just being tougher and more physical and assertive. Was really happy with him. He was getting worked over a little bit there by Robert Miller, the freshman for LSU, who definitely had a career game. But insert Jonas Adu, man, who, listen, I don't know if I'm going to give him the MVP or anything on the player grades there, but the minutes that he provided for Arkansas really changed things defensively. I thought it's the best he's looked probably since the last time they played LSU. I hope it's not just a matchup thing and we can continue to get that out of Jonas. So he only scored 2 points, but he grabbed 5 rebounds. He was a rim protector. He was good on the defensive end. He gave you 11 minutes. Great, man. Like, sign me up for that at this point. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's the exact bar that we've kind of laid out for him. We've already kind of accepted you're not getting the all SEC version of him. And clearly, like, the health is still very much a question there. But I mean, this kind of performance is pretty much all you need. It's not like you need him to be that guy. You need him to turn back the clock, especially with the way Big Z's playing. There's not going to be that many matchups where you really need 2 big men on the floor for 25, 30, 35 minutes. So with Z playing the way he is, Trevin wasn't great tonight. Not that I thought he was like horrible or anything. I just felt like between Brazil and Adu, it's kind of like I've always said with the freshmen, Knox and Billy. It's like you kind of need one of those guys to be good on any given night. That's kind of where I think Arkansas is at. And so, yeah, it's cool. And it kind of, I called Kentucky, or I called LSU a poor man's or a homeless man's version of Kentucky earlier, in that they play well against good teams and get blown out by mid teams. And Arkansas went with that same kind of game plan that they went with Amari Williams, where it was like, hey, the one-on-one matchup there with the Miller kid who looked like freaking Hakeem Olajuwon, some of those finishes, he had the touch around the rim. I think it was kind of one of those where Arkansas was content to live with that matchup. Z also came over and provided some help side. I mean, he had 4 blocks in this game. I thought he did some good things on the defensive end, struggled in that one-on-one matchup, but it again looked to me like Arkansas was kind of content to let that happen.
Yeah, he was just following the game plan. Yeah.
100%. I mean, LSU finished this game with 58 points, which, in the second half, they scored 23 points. You hold them to under 40%. They go 5 from 20 from 3. I think Arkansas quickly realized this guy's going to get off and he's going to get his buckets, but LSU's not going to beat us that way. The same way they knew Kentucky wasn't going to beat them playing the way that they were playing that day. And so once again, Arkansas is able to kind of overcome their guards. DJ Wagner was 4 of 8 in this game, so a little bit more efficient, but not getting a huge scoring punch from their guards. You're able to do it because Big Z is a big-time shot maker. We've established that now. Maybe he is Ray Allen, unlike that one guy the other day on the show that was complaining about us saying he was a good shooter. Yeah. Arkansas, if they're going to continue to play good defense, you're not going to be, hold really good teams under 60, but a team like LSU, they just aren't good enough to outscore you if you don't turn the ball over a ton. And so Arkansas did that today. Pleased with it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. It's crazy looking at the box score now and seeing that for the game. You mentioned holding LSU to 58 points. That's 20 less than they scored on you at in Baton Rouge. And so that's good. You held them under 40% from the field. It was just the one kid, Miller, that was really kind of cooking there. And that was just a stretch in the second half. Arkansas, they shoot 52% from the field, which is good. I didn't realize in real time they weren't really taking threes, man. 4 of 12. And that's got to be the fewest 3-point attempts an Arkansas team's taken in a long, long time. And they weren't good from the free throw line tonight either. Thero, maybe he was sick. I'll be interested, I think, to hear what John Calipari winds up saying about Thero, because that was kind of an uneven performance, and the way he was being used minutes wise made me feel like he might still be under the weather or something. I don't know. But whatever. Other guys stepped up and made plays. You mentioned the 2 freshmen there for a second. We got to give him some love. Billy Richmond, his energy, man, you just love it. I love the way he sits down defensively. The dude he was guarding for LSU is like 5'8", and Billy's knees are bent so much he was shorter than him. I love that stuff, man. It got me going. He gets going maybe a little bit too fast for his own body, faster than the basketball sometimes. I don't care. I love the energy when he goes coast to coast, and I got to give Carter Knox a ton of credit. I wish he would have got the double-double. It was one of those games again where I think he understood, listen, the shots aren't falling, like the energy's not really there. I've just got to go crazy with my effort on the defensive end, crashing the glass, and he was doing all those little things. Both those guys I thought were really good tonight. Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of the Carter Knox we saw against Georgia when Arkansas got their first SEC win, where he just dug deep and was effort all over the place. Defensively, I feel like Carter Knox, the improvement he's had from early in the year to now is pretty stark, and we've always felt like he had the capability to be a good defender. He, I believe, knocked down the only 3 not hit by a guy named Big Z for Arkansas. He hit the only other 3, a little spot up wing 3.
again, he's done this a few times now where he only takes like 4 or 5 shots, but he's efficient, he's effective. And you mentioned Billy, of course, he was awesome, as his energy always is. Played 22 minutes tonight, so you're starting to see he's starting to earn more time there on the floor. There was at one point, Curtis, I thought the lineups were like, frankly, crazy in the first half at one point. Now I do Theo coming out every now and then. That was like, there was a lineup at one point where they had Adu, Brazil, Billy, Carter, and Nelly.
Yeah.
And it was like the 0 shooting lineup. No, actually, I lied. It wasn't Billy. It was DJ Wagner out there, where I'm like, you have like no shooting, and it was just like bizarre. But I really liked the lineup where they basically had the starting lineup, but Billy in there with Carter. And I was like, man, I just looked out of the floor and I was like, I like the length. I like the athleticism. You've got a little bit of shooting there in the backcourt. Like, I'm like, man, this is great stuff. Billy made one of the best passes of his career tonight on a little like just dump down in on a pick and roll to Z where he gets a wide open dunk there. How many times have we come on this show and been like, why do Arkansas's guards not look for the big men whenever they get the look they want? You run the pick and roll. And it's like, that's what you want. He found it perfectly, got a wide open dunk for Z. And of course, Z's shooting is just such a big deal. I feel like when he cuts to the basket, teams are almost like, sure, go ahead, 7-2 guy, dunk on us. Cause it's like, they would almost prefer that. And so, man, it was good to see. And like you said, the right guys stepped up. Of course, we're all waiting for that day where just Carter plays well, Theo plays well, Z plays well, Nelly plays well. Everything's great. But I feel like we've seen with this Arkansas team, sometimes you're going to have 1 or 2 guys that step down. You got to have some guys step up. And tonight, Arkansas got that. Love to see the freshmen show up at home.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. And this was it was a must-win game for Arkansas. They won and didn't play great for 40 minutes, but I'm pretty happy with the way that they played in the last 20. You outscore them by 13 in the second half. The energy, the execution, the defense, all that was just that was more at the level that we've seen the last couple of weeks. I think what it does is not only does it help you from a resume standpoint, your situation on the bubble, comparatively speaking to some others, but I think it gives you a little bit of momentum. Like, don't you think the team can just kind of carry over what they did in the second half and have a little bit of momentum, a little extra confidence, a little swagger that they might not have had otherwise had they have continued to play the way they did in the first half? They might have won by 3 or something. I feel a lot better about it after this game, taking it into Texas A&M where, listen, those guys they just continue to win basketball games. Like they're in the hunt for a 2 seed. They're a top 10 team for a reason. But one thing they do, they play close games like that. I fully expect Arkansas to be right in the thick of things over there. Can they execute and make enough shots to win that thing? We'll see. But they're going to be in a dogfight in College Station. I can't wait for it. It's a great opportunity for them, and it just gets that magic number that you need. It's one more tally off of that for their NCAA tournament hopes, which are still very much alive for Arkansas. And we thought they were dead in the water a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, very much. And I mean, kind of going back to the theme of not complaining about this game, you mentioned how A&M's kind of always in close games. LSU's a team that has been in just a lot of close games here lately. Now, they're weird where they'll get blown out by a team. Like South Carolina will probably beat this team by 27 next week or something stupid like that. Yeah. But in this league, man, like we know how tough it is. We've been talking about it all year. Everyone says, hey, the SEC, this is the best it's ever been. And that's not just a cliche. Like it really is. And so anytime you get a chance like this against a team that may not be great, you got to stomp on them. And really, especially when you've already lost to them once this year, I just feel like it's nice to go ahead and get that lick back and just, take your medicine, do what you need to do. And so that's kind of what we've been asking for this Razorback team all along. We felt like when they went to Baton Rouge, that's all we were saying. It was like, just somehow win this game. I still don't know how they didn't find a way to win that one. But I think it kind of speaks to just not necessarily that this team is night and day improved since that game, but I mean, they have been. But I think we learned tonight that like this is just a completely different team, which is what we said coming into this matchup. And so I like I've been saying, I don't know if it's one of those things where if you take this Arkansas team and you extrapolate it, they'll win in College Station. But I haven't seen anything here lately to make me think that Arkansas can't go win in College Station, especially because they seem to shoot better on the road. And that's really the only thing that was missing tonight was some shot making.
Yeah, it's there's something to be said for a team that is just better in gyms that it never shoots in. But that's where Arkansas is at for whatever reason. Let's get into the chat and see what everybody's got going on here, how everybody's feeling. Hopefully they're feeling pretty good. We'll start with our man JP Sullivan. He's always feeling good after a win. He said, "Woo damn pig." I agree. I think it's the stance you got to take after a night like tonight. What do we got? Razorback Hog, he says, how many do we need to win to get into the dance? Listen, in my mind, I'm saying 4 more to be a lock. I mean, a lock. If they win 4 more, they get to 8-10, they're in. No questions asked, no drama, done deal. 3 could do it, I think, if it's the right 3. Like, don't lose at South Carolina. You know, that's a game you need to go win. And if the other couple here are, you know, big time victories, then sure. Like if you split on this road swing, right, between A&M and Auburn, you pick up one of those, that's one of those quad 1A wins. Like we talk about quad 1 wins, quad 1A wins are like the upper echelon, like the serious, you beat a highly ranked team or you got a huge road win or whatever. Never has a team been left out of the NCAA tournament field with 4 quad 1A wins on their resume. Arkansas has 3 right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, go get one of those and you're going to be in a pretty good spot. If they go 7-11, I'm not going to feel comfortable, but if it's the right wins, I think they could do it, especially if they do a little bit of damage in Nashville. But for my sanity, I say 4 is your magic number to lock yourself in.
It is crazy that we've kind of reached this point because this wasn't the case back in the day. Even 3 years ago with the SEC, if you were under 500, you had to really like it took special circumstances. It took a great non-conference basically.
Oh, yeah.
But I agree that I think 8-10 would make you a lock for the NCAA tournament. I really do believe that. And I want to give you credit because even going back to non-conference play, you ran all the simulations, you crunched all the numbers, and you were like, based on the numbers, it seems like 7-11 would get Arkansas into the tournament, at least based on all the simulations and the background research you did. And I agree. Like, I think from a metric standpoint, if Arkansas was 7-11, they would have a good enough net, good enough strength of schedule, good enough KenPom, good enough all that. But I agree with your assessment that I couldn't feel totally, because I just every day I think I'm reminded of like some other mid-major team that is maybe in the 50s or 60s of net, but they're like 14-1 in conference play. And I'm just like, our shout out to our guy, Anthony Christensen, by the way, because he's a huge mid-major basketball fan. He's always ranting about, oh, this team is 22-3, but they're 70 in net and they're not going to be getting that large bid or whatever. We see teams like that get the nod all the time in these at-large situations, even if they don't win their conference tournament. And I think you're also, if you're 7-11, you're just at the mercy of, one, if you go to Nashville and suck, then you're in trouble. But also the bid stealers and random teams that win their conference tournament and that shouldn't be a too big bid league, all that. If you're 8-10, I feel like it's a lock. And I do agree that I think 7-11 for sure. It would be, I think Arkansas like fans don't have a right to be pissed if you don't make the tournament at 7-11, but you would have the metrics to do it for sure. Yeah,
I think so. And then it's a lot of it too is about what the other teams around you do that would have a say in whether 7 or 8 SEC wins get you there. Tonight was a good night because Wake Forest is one of those teams that was doing pretty well for itself. But they not only don't have the marquee wins on their resume, they don't have the opportunities because they're in the ACC and the ACC sucks. And then they go and take a quad 3 loss to Florida State tonight. That's a killer for them. Like, that's really hard to overcome. Hell, even at Arkansas lost this one tonight, it would have been a quad 3 and we would have been really down and been like, yeah, they're probably screwed. But, you know, Saturday, they have an opportunity to make up for it. You know what I mean? It's like there's still that puncher's chance thing that a team like Wake doesn't have. Like, that's a backbreaker for them. Oklahoma, who's just been in a freaking, you know, nosedive here lately, they're getting the hell beat out of them at Missouri right now. I realize Arkansas lost at Missouri too, but they're losing worse. You know what I mean? And they continue to drop off here. So other bubble teams struggling it's a good thing for Arkansas, and a lot of them have been. So they just got to handle their business. But I wish I could say Arkansas was fully in control of their own destiny. I guess they would be if they won the next 7 games or something. But you got to kind of keep an eye on the others. That's part of life on the bubble. Xenia Laster here says Adu making big defensive plays. Love seeing that from him tonight. Listen, when he checked into the game and the first shot that LSU took, like, you saw Adu kind of tried to jump and he couldn't even get off the ground and he just tipped it out, couldn't get the board. And I'm thinking, oh God,
dude, how about that loose ball that he like had the slowest ever dive for? And then they ended up not even giving him the call, even though I thought he kind of forced the turnover.
I know
where I was like really concerned, where I was like, yes. Oh God.
I was watching him there early and I was thinking he can't, like, they're gonna have to get him out of there quick. He can't move. And I was worried about Z, you know, in some of that pick and roll coverage that they had early in the game. So I was kind of wondering where this thing was headed. But after that, yeah, I thought Adu was great. He's the thing about him is he's very, very instinctual. defensively. He's so smart as a defender with the team concepts and the individual stuff. He doesn't bite on every little head fake. He's in the right position most of the time. And he was in this one. It was really good to see. He was better on the backboards. Like, like we said at the top of the show, listen, I get it. Like, it's not an all SEC caliber performance or whatever, but at this stage, getting that type of effort from Jonas Adu could loom really, really large for Arkansas. I mean, I thought it was big time stuff. It's good to see. Megan says Big Z will only be with us 1 year. Well, it's looking that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was projected to go to make not make the NCAA tournament. He might make that. He was projected to go 57th in the latest ESPN mock draft. And I don't see that number going. I think it's going to only get lower. I think he's going to get closer and closer to. I mean, in a draft, this draft sucks, dude. I mean, you see some of these other big men. I mean, hell, like that Michigan big man, who we agree is a good player, Danny Wolf, and he certainly has some skill. He's like projected to go in the lottery.
Yeah,
like, dude, if he's a lottery pick and he is good, a good college player, like I think someone with Big Z shooting, I can see an NBA team like the Thunder being like, hey, let's pick him and throw him on the bench for 3 years and we'll develop him.
Right. Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. He's good for one of those like wild step back, fade away corner three attempts where he short arms at every game. But
that was an assist to Carter Knox, Curtis. He clearly threw that ball right into Carter Knox's hands for the layup, actually.
I think you're exactly right. And to speak to Carter Knox, we appreciate you for the super chat. Big Salty Hog. He says, CW, how about Knox answering your challenge this morning? Great all around performance. Yeah. I mean, I just think that if you are a starting wing in the SEC, you can't go scoreless in a basketball game. And he did against Alabama. So good on him to get it going a little bit. And he was doing all the little things. It was really encouraging to see because he was one of the culprits too early on where it looked like he was just a little bit, maybe not fully focused and ready to play. Like he's got beat on a couple back doors, which is some of the stuff that we were seeing with him early in the year. I'm just like, come on, man, like wake up. Well, he did. He was really good in the second half. Like Andrew, like you mentioned, he made the only three that didn't come from Big Z and was tough in there on the backboards, and he should be because he's got the body for it, man. 6'6" and 220 pounds, but it was good to see him going. I'll take 9 and 8 from Carter Knox every single game. So that was encouraging. Ozzy is he's right here. I mean, he nailed it. Good teams win, the greatest teams cover, and that's what Arkansas did in this game. So.
I mean, hey, there's something to be said about just doing what you're supposed to do. And that's what Arkansas did tonight.
Yeah. I mean, they understood the assignment. They had an interesting way of going about achieving their goals, but whatever. Carson McKay, I love this from Carson McKay says, I've watched you guys so much. Even my girlfriend knows your first and last names. Good. I like that. Yeah.
I love this. This reminds me of that. It might even be these people. This reminds me of in Fort Worth, whenever we were sitting in front of or behind that couple and the girl turns around and she's like, I recognize y'all's voices because I have to hear y'all in the truck every day. I'm like, appreciate that.
Yeah, that was good. I love that. I want to go back and like screenshot that and put it as my the little header beside your picture on Twitter. That's pretty good stuff. Karmaduke, he says defense picked it up down the stretch. Adu actually helped on that end. Yeah, he did. When Arkansas went on that run to finally get that separation to where you could breathe a little bit, Billy Richmond played a big role in that with his effort. And, it's transition, man. When he goes coast to coast, he's a blur. It's fun to watch. But yeah, Adu was a big part of that. With his pick and roll coverage. He wasn't biting on any of that nonsense there. They short rolled. It didn't matter. He did a really good job, and I thought helped spark that defensively for sure. And yeah, let's see. 35.7% LSU shot from the field in the second half. They only got to the free throw line twice and 1 of 6 from 3. So way better defensively in the second half for Arkansas. And LSU's not very good offensively. Those dudes, I'm also surprised they only shot 23s. I thought they were just they were chucking some questionable ones, man. But hey, more power to them.
A couple like contested in transition. There was one where Trevin Brazil was in flawless position to contest, and the guy just pulls up with like 24 seconds on the shot clock, takes a contested three with Trevin Brazil with a hand in his face. Like of all Arkansas's big men who maybe you can get on the perimeter, Trevin, when he's like got his feet set in his position, like I would not want to shoot a three over his arms.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Those guys are they're fearless. There's something. Seth, we appreciate you for the super chat. He says a win is a win. It definitely is at this stage. Right? I mean, you got to rack up all of them that you can get. So Big Z is impressing me a lot. Theo was asleep for a half. Hope they were saving their best ball for this weekend. Woo Pig Sooie, A&M is next. Yeah, Big Z is definitely impressing us a lot. Yeah, I'm very anxious. If anybody hears, like, if you're paying attention to the presser or whatever, I'd be anxious to hear if Cal says anything about Theo. Maybe they were just trying to conserve him for the second half or something. I don't know, but he only played like 8 minutes in the first half. It was weird. He wasn't in foul trouble either, but he's also like 0 of 5 and looked a little out of it for sure.
I was paying close attention to him, trying to like look for any like body language. He wasn't breathing crazy heavy. He wasn't getting any like attention from like medical
down Gatorades, and yeah,
it just looked like. And you mentioned saving it for the second half. That was kind of. I was sitting by our buddy Hazelwood, and he kind of theorized like, okay, maybe they're just going to play him all 20 in the second, and they're going to try and buy him any minutes they could. I actually thought it was key for Arkansas that they were able to not only take the lead but extend it with Adu and Trevin and like some of those guys out on the floor. But yeah, it was very bizarre. I would be interested to hear what Cal had to say.
Yeah, for sure.
He's got that Hamzat Chimaev immune system.
He does, bro. That's crazy, man. Ryan McDaniel. Okay. He says Wagner with 7 assists, only 3 turnovers, really solid point guard play. This was another one of those games where I looked up at the end and I was like, he had 7 assists, really? I just watching DJ in this game, and I'm going to have to reevaluate it before the report card, because as I go back and look at the box score, like the stats, maybe he played better than I thought he did, because I really wasn't impressed for a majority of the game when I was watching. He really struggled keeping his man in front in the first half, and that was a lot of the problems Arkansas was having with their breakdowns defensively that weren't strictly middle pick and roll. Better in the second half, but yeah, I really wasn't feeling it, man. He had some I thought bad turnovers, but hell yeah, I mean, you look up at the end of the game and 10 points on 50% shooting from the field with 7 assists and 3 turnovers. And it's like, I mean, not too shabby actually.
I was a little surprised. I mean, it does make sense because he really didn't take a ton of like crazy shots. He was 4 for 8, but like, well, I agree with you with it. When I looked at his line, I was like, 7 assists, 4 of 8 from the floor. Like, good job. I was a little surprised to see that, but yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of who DJ Wagner has become for this Arkansas team, is kind of the quiet table setter, the calming presence that this offense needs. I definitely don't have any complaints. I thought him and Nelly both in the first half struggled defensively. Nelly's weird because like Nelly will have games. He's had multiple games this year with like 3, 4, 5 steals. He ended up with 3 tonight. But in the first half, I was like, how does he get those steals? Like, what had happened? Then in the second half, I thought he was a lot better, a lot more active, and they playing passing lanes and stuff like that. When those guys defend, it's going to be Arkansas's really, really hard to beat.
Yeah, they are. And speaking of Nelly, we haven't talked about him much yet. He finishes with 11 points, 4 of 13, I think, for the second straight game, 3 of 5 from the free throw line, whatever. He is a perplexing dude in Bud Walton Arena.
He hates it.
It's the weirdest thing, man. He cannot buy a bucket in the Bud for whatever reason. I do not know. And it's threes, it's layups. Now it's free throws. The strangest thing. And, I thought he wound up doing something. Like he made those 2 free throws down the stretch there in a row that were important. He had a couple mid-range jumpers, been waiting to see that all year in a row in the first half. So like there were flashes where I was like, all right, here you go. He's going to get going. But man, he just, for whatever reason, cannot buy one consistently in Bud. I'm with you. I thought he was way better defensively in the second half, way more engaged and locked in, but it's weird, man.
Curtis, I think he shot all those shots on the Noah system in the practice facility. I don't think he shot enough in Bud Walton Arena behind closed doors. But he definitely shoots better on the road, especially in conference play. It's just, it's definitely perplexing. That's a good way to put it. But once again, and we've said this, how many times have we said this? The guards missed a bunch of shots, but we liked the shots they were getting. Every shot he took, I was like, yeah, I like that look. Take it. Oh, no, he missed it. It's like, especially the ones at the rim, but like even the threes, I was like, gosh, man, I can't believe he didn't knock down a 3. Which I guess if you're Arkansas and you're trying to have some optimism going to the A&M game, it's like he won't shoot 4 for 13 again, right?
Yeah. I mean, I hope not. And it was weird. The one thing that I wish he would do is sometimes he tries to bait for the foul a little bit as opposed to just finishing the layup. But other times, especially like early in the second half, he gets downhill, and he's really good, I think, anticipating when weak side is coming over for the shot block. I wish he would just go up aggressively, like explode and just try to finish at the rim. He was trying to go high off the glass. And listen, you're playing a lot better, but you haven't really figured out that English thing just yet. Like that part of your game isn't here yet. Just go finish the damn layup, brother. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. But yeah, I mean, he will probably go to A&M and have like, 22 on 7 of 13 shooting and knock down 4 threes. And we'll be like, oh, great.
I was literally just about to say, I will go ahead and guarantee he outscores Wade Taylor.
Oh, I love that. I like that a lot. Okay. Heard it here first. Andrew Ellis. This dude has been mad for the entire chat. I don't know if he's back or not. I gave him just a little timeout just to think about it. I don't know how long those things last, but he says, I cannot ever remember so many Arkansas fans think Arkansas actually has a shot at anything this year. 4-12 is what they'll be when they get done with the next 2 games. That's horrible. Well, first of all, that's just mathematically not possible, actually. So you might want to redo your calculations there. What do you want? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you expect? Nobody is throwing a parade for Arkansas beating LSU tonight by 12. Nobody's throwing a parade for the way this season has gone. It hasn't gone according to expectation. They got off to the worst start in program history in SEC play. But here they are, not only playing their way back into the conversation, but as of tonight, playing their way back into the NCAA tournament field. You should be happy about that if you're a Razorback fan. Like, this is a good thing. You're not comfortable with your position. We don't know what the next 7 games are going to hold, but given where they were to where they are now, how could you not be impressed with what they've done? I mean, this is an unbelievable take here. It's got to be a troll, right?
Well, and once again, I just don't think people listen to what we're saying. Cause basically we've set the bar pretty high or pretty low, honestly, where we're like, yeah, this team could make the tournament. We kind of had a debate there about how many wins they'll need left, whether it's 3, 4, whatever. We haven't said anything about like, oh yeah, this team's about to like go to the Elite 8. This is a Final 4 team. We've set the expectation of this team can make the tournament and we'll see what they can do when they get there. That's kind of where we're at. Of course, right. Look, and if you want to say, hey, that's a disappointment, I would agree with you. I think preseason we certainly had a little bit higher expectations a little bit, but even then it wasn't like this was never a Final 4 bust type of year. We've adjusted and tempered our expectation. They started 0-5. They're going to end up making the tournament, which is something. And you don't have to be thrilled about it, but we can at least just say that. Like, he's like, oh yeah, who thinks this team's going to win anything? Well, what do you mean? You're saying this team's not going to make the tournament? Because if you want to die on that hill, you can, but it's looking closer and closer to like they're actually going to make it. And we told Kentucky fans that when they started doing the, oh, well, at least we'll be in the tournament and you won't. I wouldn't be so sure. Thank you for letting us whip your ass to make sure that happened.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Just weird takes on there. I'm pretty sure it was a troll. I don't know. My wife's telling me she's pretty sure that it was a troll situation there.
You can troll these nuts.
Goodness, man. Exactly. Oh man, let's see what else we got. This is the right take to have, I think. Eric Musselman's ghost is always good for us. It's good win. Don't care how we got it. Couldn't afford to lose. Exactly. Yeah, you avoided disaster, and there was no drama in the end. You know,
well, and here's my thing
at halftime. Okay.
Do you really want to like have your best showing be against LSU? Like, wouldn't it? I mean, obviously, you'd feel better about the team. You say, oh, wow, these guys are playing well. But like, realistically, when you play a 30 whatever game season, you're just not going to have everyone firing on all cylinders each night. I'm kind of okay if some of these guys save some of their shot making for A&M, because I think you're going to need to make shots against A&M.
Yeah.
Arkansas only took 12 threes. I hope that doesn't continue. I'll say that. But like, I'm okay if like the real Saturday breakout for some of these guys happens on Saturday.
Yeah, no, me too. This is another good point here from Hunter Ratio. He says we're 11th in the SEC now. Again, here's your gold star or whatever. Like, I get it. We get it. You started 0-5, 1-6. You know what I mean? Like, you were at the bottom. You were down there hanging around with South Carolina to see who could get the first SEC win. They've moved ahead of 5 teams, 3 of which, or several of which, if we're talking about, the Georgias and the Oklahomas and the Texases of the world, who you're competing for spots in the NCAA tournament with. Not only are you moving ahead of them in all the metrics and the net and, all that stuff, you're passing them in the SEC standings too. And that matters. And 11th, whatever, but you're a game out from, I think, being either 8th or 9th. and then you're right there in the middle of the pack. And what is statistically speaking, as of February 12th, the best conference in the history of college basketball. So, hey, it's you're moving on up, I think is what we're looking at here. And it's not a terrible place to be.
Curtis, can we really call it the best conference in basketball whenever they're 500? Whenever the Arkansas-LSU game, the SEC went 1-1. So
yeah,
here I am. Conference?
Here I am just overhyping it again when they're just very mid, clearly.
Yeah. Oh, Curtis, they had a much better record when they were playing other teams, but now that they're playing each other, it's 500.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh. Okay, let's do this thing real quick here. I'm going to go back to back. Tim says, not sure what's up with Bud Walton Arena. We've never had a fair weather crowd, even in losing seasons. And then Kim asked me, how many hog calls did they do tonight?
At least 3. Maybe they did one in the final 5 minutes when we were on our way over here. I texted you 3 when they got that third one because we set the over-under at 2.5.
Yeah, I saw somebody say 4 maybe by the end. Good job hitting the over. I mean, the crowd was not good tonight. Sorry, it wasn't. I get it. Like, it's cold outside. The team didn't play well at all in the first half. It finally got loud in there when they made that run, but that was a late Wednesday night against Pacific crowd. It just was. And it's, I don't even know what to say about it. Like, I'm not even complaining. I'm just saying, is it because this team has not played well at home? Like they're 1-4, or now they're 2-4, I guess, in SEC play. Maybe. But at the same time, like they've kind of battled back, and you're just like, you're in a dogfight for the NCAA tournament. You would think there'd be a little bit more excitement. I don't know. But it was not nearly as, there were several thousand fewer butts in seats than I expected tonight. The ones who were there, shout out to you for doing 4 hog calls, but then for actually, I thought, playing a role in that thing down the stretch of the game once the team figured it out.
They started to get loud right before you and I left. Frankly, that's like kind of when they started to come alive. I agree. Not an impressive, like, I mean, hell, our buddy Hazelwood was able to come sit right next to me and Hillary just because there was nobody sitting next to me. I mean, our whole row was empty damn near. It was a little bit of a friends and family only crowd. Everybody was at church tonight. I guess church is later and later these days. But my thing is, there's only a few games left. Yeah. I mean, what is it? Missouri, Mississippi State, and Texas. Are those the only home games left?
Those are the 3 left.
And all of those games, I wouldn't necessarily expect them to be sellout crowds that are just rocking. Maybe the Missouri game by the time that rolls around, that might actually be popping. Maybe there's some people who thought Texas was going to be awesome this year, and so that's the one game they're going to. But it's like,
this team needs it. They need it.
No, they definitely need it, and especially because all these games are going to matter. And so maybe I'm sure you'll get a better crowd at those games than you got tonight. But I'm like, at what point are y'all going to look back at this whole season? We've been saying it all year. Oh, the crowds will be better. The crowds will be better. The season's damn near over.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there 100%. And I don't know. I worry that, let's say they struggle on this road trip, which pretty much any team that would have to go play A&M and Auburn on the road in back-to-back games this season, probably not going to go very well for them. We'll see. Like, if Arkansas splits, I'll be freaking ecstatic. But let's say they don't, then is it going to be half full for Texas or whatever, when they're still playing for their absolute lives to make it to the NCAA tournament? I hope that it's a packed house. I hope people are rowdy. They need that 6-man thing. I get it. They don't play well at home, but they're going to have to win some of these games. So I do hope that it gets a little bit better there. It wasn't the most exciting game in the world tonight, but they got the dub and they're right there in the thick of things. Let's see. Where was I? Okay. Blue chasing blues. We appreciate you. He said the layups, man, kills my soul. What they wind up? Yeah. What is it about LSU? They missed 17 layups against LSU the first time they played them. They were 9 of 20 on layups in this game, but they did have 5 dunks. So 14 of 25, I guess, around the rim. Better than it was last time. And a lot of those were just Z being a grown man in there. How about that? But yeah, there were definitely some bunnies that they left on the board there that I was just like, all right, come on now, finish these things.
9 of 20. That's a JD Notte shooting line.
It is.
That's a layup line.
And this surprised me. Now, LSU blocked 11 shots on Arkansas the last time they played, and that was the most that's happened to Arkansas in like forever. They only blocked 2 shots in this game. so I guess they were just really challenging at the rim. I mean, they're pretty athletic. I don't know. Yeah, that was
maybe they were all
I
Boogie
noticed
Flynn shots that got blocked last time.
yeah, I guess so. I noticed it though to you blue chasing blues there for sure. And they're gonna have to be a little bit stronger around the basket against the teams that are getting ready to play here, especially Texas A&M, who they can cut your water off, man, defensively, but they're so good on the backboards. Like it's gonna be rebounding is gonna be at a premium, man, for Arkansas in that game. It's gonna be one of those teams that way better version of LSU, but they chuck a bunch of threes and don't make many of them. But then they just get offensive rebound and put back after offensive rebound and put back. And then they get to the free throw line 30 times. We're going to be so pissed off from start to finish with the watch party, watching this A&M game. I just know it. Prepare yourself for it now. It's going to drive us nuts as Razorback fans. There's no doubt in my mind.
I'm going to be such an asshole on that stream because I'll have just done 6.5 hours worth of baseball doubleheader stream. I'll be ready to roll, man.
Exactly. Garrett McCollum, thank you, buddy. He says, we did what we had to do. Unfortunately, Curtis, Big Z is bringing out his inner Joker and it's prime for the NBA. I know, man. It's just, I hope this that this reemergence of Jonas Adu will just keep him off the floor enough to where he's forced to come back next season. No, he's probably out of here, man. He's hooping for sure. Aiden says, who do we match up better with, Auburn or A&M? A&M.
Any team you can put next to Auburn, I'm going to say the other team.
Yes.
just that. But seriously though, Arkansas, I feel like matches up fairly well with A&M. I mean, and A&M's good. They've been the team that they're, what are they, 7-8-3 in conference? Like they've been really impressive at just, you want to talk about doing what you're supposed to do. That's what A&M has been doing. I've always been like a sneaky Buzz Williams guy. But I think A&M is certainly less of a daunting task.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I mean, they're really, really good defensively. They're solid. They're fine. Offensively, not great. But I'm just looking at their numbers right now. They're 301st in the country in 3-point percentage as a team. So they really don't knock down a ton of threes. However, they are number 1 in the country in offensive rebound percentage, and they're top 25 in free throw attempts per game. So, and when you go on the road, you just know, how it's going to be. So prepare yourself for that. Arkansas definitely matches up better with them. They play close games. If you look at their schedule in SEC play, I'll run through it just real quick. They did smack Texas the first time they played them, but then 2-point game against Oklahoma, 6-point game against Alabama. Let's see, they lost to Kentucky by 12. That's when they didn't have Wade Taylor. 1-point game with Ole Miss, 1-point game with Texas, 7 points against Oklahoma, 4 against South Carolina, 3 against Missouri. I mean, they play a ton of close games, so it's going to be a back and forth. It should be exciting.
That's the type of game we talk about Arkansas needing to be out in transition, get going. Arkansas's got to push the tempo. Billy Richmond might be the key to unlocking Arkansas against A&M. He might be the guy that can really push the pace a little bit. Because I think A&M with that great rebounding, I don't know if they can keep up with Arkansas athletically if they really get out and get going, but we shall see.
Yeah. Yep. We shall see. They've got that 2-headed monster, man, with Wade Taylor and Zerk Phelps. That's a pretty good backcourt. Those guys are fun to watch, but they can also be super inefficient and kind of shoot them out of games and stuff. So,
but A&M, they've really perfected the art of rebounding those Wade Taylor bricks. They know how to do that.
I mean, he's been in college now for 15 years. They know where his shots are going to go and it leaves his hands.
By the way, can I give a quick little rant? Not a rant, actually. Just I want to point out, Big Z is not only a bad rebounder, he doesn't seem to see where the direction is and say, okay, it's about to hit off of this side of the rim. So realistically it'll be, he has no feel for where it's just a matter of if the ball bounces to him, he'll catch it. But he has no sense of it's going this way. So maybe it's going to bounce here. Maybe it'll bounce there. It's infuriating watching him try and grab a rebound. It really isn't I always kind of I'm look, he shoots, he's not a rebounder, but good Lord, for being 7'2", he had 1 rebound at halftime. Come on, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Against A&M, dude, that kind of stuff cannot fly.
100%. Yeah. It's, he's just going to have to, he's going to need to get 7 blocks, I think, because he's going to give up offensive rebounds and then their little 6'8" post players are going to go up and he's just going to have to block some shots. But yeah, it's infuriating. He's gotten so much better. That's one of the main areas of his game he's got to continue to work on. However, Martin would like us to know that none of these guys are NBA ready and that we should trust him.
Dude,
on this.
These are my favorite guys during basketball season that just don't understand how the draft works.
Right.
Like, none of these guys are NBA ready. Okay, but like they're 19. So next year, and also they'll all like Arkansas. They had a mock draft drop today that had 3 Razorbacks in it, albeit one of them is Boogie Flan, who's not playing. But it's like, you think that like all these NBA teams, all these guys that cover this shit for a living, you think they're all just whiffing on it? You know what I mean? Like, you think they're a Duke Hero, they're just like, you know what? He's a unanimous first round pick. Like, actually, if you just watch him closely, he's not ready. None of these guys are ready, but you draft based on projection. They said the same. Hog fans said the same stupid stuff about Moses Moody, where they were like, just not an NBA player, man. I'm like, yes, he is. He's going to play in the NBA for 12 years, matter of fact. It's just kind of how it works.
Wild behavior. John Neighbors is here. He said, marry any woman who knows our name. She's the one. Lock her up. Whoever that was in the chat that said his girlfriend knows our first and last names. If you haven't put a ring on it, you better get on it, man. That's pretty impressive. And I was going to say, that must mean she loves sports, but I don't know. You might be force feeding it down her throat, but hey, just do what you got to do.
Let's hope she has somewhat of an appreciation for sports.
Yeah. I mean, JP Sullivan, the turkey trotter, he says, awesome team win when Thero and Wagner not scoring. We did what we had to do. It was ugly. Proud of the Hogs. I'll be strutting into work in the morning. P.S. My girlfriend knows y'all too. Thanks. This is good. Okay, good. Yeah, because we really are. We get our reports or whatever every month, and we can look and see like where people are listening from, the age groups, and like all those demographics. And it's pretty solidly like 96.7% male. So we need more female listeners. I'm just saying. So it's good. The first step is that they know who we are. The second step is that they listen to what we say. We'll take it one thing at a time here. Hog Dog, thank you. Appreciate the super chat. Says they just keep plowing through, but I missed the charges. J Will made it entertaining, and Big Z, round of applause. We just not that many charge calls in the game anymore since they've kind of adjusted the rules there.
Objectively, made college basketball a better sport to watch.
It really has, man. And like I feel like any of those offensive fouls you get like that, it's never a guy just sets his feet and takes a charge. It'll be like player control. He ducked his shoulder or he pushed off or something. But I can't remember the last time that I saw a guy just plant his feet, absorb contact, take a charge, and get the whistle. It's just kind of not really a thing anymore. Captain Solo, whoa. Thank you. We appreciate that. Yeah, no, it's big time. Thank you. Says, great must win tonight. Yep. Love your show. Fantastic job covering the Hogs. Wish we could be there to help fill the Bud. Huge shout out from Alaska. There we go. So for all the people who like to do that thing where they put like Fayetteville AK on for the state abbreviation, you're really repping it up there in Alaska. That's a big time. Shout out to you. I wonder how cold it is there right now.
It was cold as hell in Fayetteville.
Brutally cold.
That's any indication. It's cold. But let's talk about this. So we've got a UK with Rufus.
Yep.
We've got some Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Arkansas. We've got some Texas. I think we've got some California, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've got some Hawaii with Souza and Aloy and all those guys.
Uh-huh.
Our web is starting to
worldwide, man.
I mean, truly.
It spreads.
Oh, and we know we've got Kentucky.
And we definitely have.
We
Yeah,
we
got a stranglehold on Lexington, man. It's crazy.
Don't make us get that belt, Lexington. Don't make us get that belt. Hey, shout out to Brennan who's tuning in from Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, let's go.
Are some of these got to be like just military guys, right?
I think so. I think we definitely get some of that. That's pretty cool though. I love this from Hunter OZK. He says, remember when Wednesday? Remember when Wade Taylor was a freshman? Me either. Yeah, it's been a minute. I mean, that dude's been at Texas A&M since I've been covering the Razorbacks on the beat, man. It's nuts.
No, I mean, truly, I'm looking up his freshman year stats now. 21-22. He averaged 8.2 a game. What's crazy is he's had a 4-point decrease this year in production. He averaged 19 a game last year, only at 15 this year. I wonder what led to that. I think he's just one of those guys that there's no rhyme or reason to anything that he does.
That's that is well said. I think that's it. That's the thing.
Believe it or not, he's only just a 4-year guy. Like he's a senior. This is his 4th year of college basketball. Like that's just it for Wade Taylor. He's actually not a COVID 5th year guy.
That is weird. I guess it's just so rare now that we see a guy go to a school as a freshman and stay there his entire career, especially and be good also. And that's another surprising aspect of this is that Wade Taylor's still there. But yeah, good on him. Chris D says, hey, if it means Nelly pulls an anti-Moses Moody and actually shows up in March, that's all I care about. Who cares if he can knock it down in Bud Walton Arena, if he can make some shots during the NCAA tournament if Arkansas gets there, right?
I mean, hey, there will be 0 NCAA tournament games played in Bud Walton Arena, and hopefully, if there's a God, 0 NIT games played there as well.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
I think there's a good. He shoots well in Lexington. That's an NCAA tournament site. Yeah. Maybe that's what Arkansas needs to do. I'm
going to do this real quick. John L. Davis, in his career in the NCAA tournament, he's played a lot of games because remember he went to a Final Four with Florida Atlantic. So 2 years ago, he went for first round 12 points on 4 of 12 shooting. Second round 29 points on 10 of 16. Sweet 16 against Tennessee, 15 points on 3 of 9. He was 9 of 10 at the free throw line. Elite 8 against Kansas State, 13 points, 5 of 12 shooting. And then in the Final Four, the San Diego State team, man, Lamont and Butler, they locked him down a little bit, 8 points, 2 of 9. Last year, they lost in the first round. He went for 18 points, 6 of 16 from the field. He was 5 of 6 from the free throw line. So there you go. There's his track record in the NCAA tournament, Mr. John L. Davis.
Which, by the way, I did just reminded me because we were talking about Moses Moody NBA draft. That was the peak when he stunk in the tournament, which, by the way, he definitely stunk in the tournament. That was the peak where everybody was like, he honestly needs to come back for another year. He needs to round out his game. He needs to learn how to pass, all this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, instead, he'll just get taken in the lottery. It's no big deal. Chris Drunkenmiller says Billy Richmond is going to be a BMFer next year. Knox was strong tonight on the boards. I know we've already talked about it, but I just wanted to pull it up again because I was really, really impressed with those guys. They're growing up, man, which is what you hope to see. And I think there are going to be other big moments for these guys down the stretch here. If Arkansas is going to get to where they want to be, both of these guys are going to have to make an impact, and you feel better about them doing that than you did, like the last time they played LSU. I remember us looking at it and being like, now they say they have a 9-man rotation, but Jonas is still trying to get healthy and you're not really getting anything out of either one of these freshmen. Both those guys have been great lately. So good to see.
It's weird. You remember that Kentucky game when I was like, man, this is going to be a game where like the freshmen just probably can't help them at all. Both of them did. And I feel like since that moment, there's been a lot that's changed with this Arkansas team, but their consistency has been huge for sure. And I agree wholeheartedly with Mr. Drunkenmiller. Miller.
Just a fantastic name. Cade, thank you for the super chat. And I like this question. He said, what are the chances of us getting matched up in the same region as Kentucky? I would love to knock them out of the NCAA tournament. 2 things. There's they have bracketing principles. Like there are certain rules that they try to follow where really traditionally you wouldn't be able to face a team from your conference until really like the Elite 8, but certainly the second weekend. However, with the SEC this year, I've already hearing some things about how it gets super complicated because if this league gets 12, 13 teams in the NCAA tournament, they're probably not going to be able to avoid it at some cases. So it would be highly, highly unlikely that you would see a Kentucky like in the round of 32 or something, but the Sweet 16 wouldn't be out of the question for like an SEC on SEC matchup. I don't think.
No, it's definitely inevitable. And like you said, it's not going to be set up where like Arkansas's the 12 and Kentucky would be the 4 they would see. Like, it's not going to be something like that.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, if it gets to, once it gets to the Sweet 16, especially because Arkansas would be entering the tournament as a 9, 10, 11 seed, it would definitely, there's some room there for something like that to happen.
Here's what I could see. So like Arkansas right now, they're in the first 4. Hopefully Arkansas does enough to play their way out of Dayton. Like that, you don't have to go there. But I could see Arkansas being like an 11. You play in Dayton and you win. So then you get a 6 seed, you upset the 6 seed, and then you play the 3. Oh, the 3 is Kentucky, or the 3 is Tennessee, an SEC team or whatever. I could see that type of scenario playing out.
Curtis, you like this? Kentucky St. John's is a 3-6. St. John's lost tonight, by the way. Eric Dixon got him.
Oh, Nova took him down? I didn't see that.
73-71, I believe.
Nice. Very nice. Wow. Oh, that would be a hell of a lot of fun. Well, here's what I don't want to see is Arkansas and St. John's.
Hell no.
St. John's is tough, man. By the way, to that last one about matching up with Kentucky, Lexington hosts one of the regions this year.
Yeah.
So whereas Arkansas might not play Kentucky in the first round or two or whatever, there is a world where the NCAA tournament could go, you know, it would be funny is if Cal snuck his Arkansas team into the tournament and we send his ass to Lexington to play.
And frankly, I wouldn't complain about it.
We would be right back at KS Bar just living the dream. I mean, and Kentucky, and they couldn't, by rule, they could not put Kentucky there because you can't play in your home venue or whatever. So like Kentucky would be elsewhere and we would be in Lexington covering the NCAA tournament. It'd be crazy.
You think Joy to the World spent the rest of that gift card, or you think we can go back and get the rest of it, the last $12?
We'll hit her up. We'll figure something out. That's a great question though. I need that leprechaun vomit or whatever the hell the drink was that I got. So okay, yes, I'm glad that Camel Hog brought this up. Saw Andrew on the big board. I did not, but I know that John did. Was it a submitted photo or was it like the camera? Okay, gotcha.
And the QR code and upload the thing or whatever. We also tried to do a little message and say stream the Bombastic Podcast, but they didn't put that up there.
You know the U of A is going to shut that
asshole.
Shit
yeah, the U of A was like, no. Kyle Parkinson got a whiff of it and he was like, hell no.
I love this. From Andres, he says, are there watch parties for away games? So boy, do we have a lot to talk about. For basketball, it depends. For example, Saturday, yep, we're going to do a watch party. We're going to be live during the game, talking about it, giving our commentary, taking chats and everything like that. We can't physically stream the game ourselves, but we can all watch at the same time and discuss it. So be on the lookout for that on Saturday. Wednesday, when they're at Auburn, no, we won't be doing that because John and I are going to be on site and you can't stream live from the venues during games. So it'll be kind of the normal after the game, Pot the Palace show. We'll go live and everything like that. But the rest of the away games that they have that we're not physically at, we're doing the watch parties for sure. And then Andrew, I know that you're going to be kicking up some watch parties yourself for baseball season. Maybe away games, maybe midweeks. I guess it just depends on the flavor of the opponent there, but it starts Friday, right?
Yeah, it starts Friday. It's gonna be a long haul. That'll set the tone. If that one sucks and I hate it and I hate everyone in the chat, maybe I'll do less of them. But I definitely want to do some midweeks. Just like one, I kind of like just having because there's a lot of downtime in baseball. Obviously, honestly, basketball watch parties are the hardest one because it's like back and forth. It's hard to really comment.
It's hard to get into the chat. It's hard, because it's pretty fast paced. We're like talking during timeouts, really.
Exactly. So baseball, I feel like the pacing of it will allow for a very chill environment. So hopefully that works out. But Friday's gonna be a marathon. Definitely, I need everyone to pull up Friday when I do that stream. I'll be live for like 6 hours. Inside Arkansas this channel will be live the entire day.
It's gonna be wild. I've never ran into a scenario, not a single day, not a single moment have I felt like, boy, Andrew just doesn't seem like he's in a very talkative mood. I'm wondering what's going to happen on Friday. Like, I can't wait to see how this plays out. I'm going to hop in there with you for a few innings here and there. I know John is too. That way, just you could take a drink of water if you need to. But you're going to be on your own a lot there, and I'm here for it, man. I'm excited for you.
I'm excited for it, and that's why I'm hoping enough people show up where I'll be able to pull up comments and all that, and I'm not just being like 2-1. Here's the but no, it should be fun, and like I'll probably regret it, but F it, dude. It's first day of baseball season. I want to get
celebration.
People really excited. So yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah, I love this actually from Arkansas. Appreciate the super chat, buddy. He says 2026 Herb Jones. I mean Billy Richmond will be fun to watch.
Is great commentary right here. This is what we have you on for, Arkansas. This is elite stuff right here. I love Herb Jones.
Fantastic comp to what we hope Billy Richmond can become. That's good work right there, man. He says also Bud still washed. You said it.
It is a little bit washed, yeah.
From Jordan here, this is very cool. He says, really enjoying you guys' content all the way in Minnesota. Joe Biden, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He says, as a fan, I follow Cal from UK to Arkansas. Feels good to rid myself of the BBN toxic fan base. Keep up the great work, fellas. Yeah, you will not find that toxicity here. Not one bit. You're in the right place, buddy.
We only had to ban 3 chatters tonight.
Oh,
But
goodness.
let's just add Minnesota to the list because I saw that comment right after we did the whole thing about Alaska, Hawaii, all this stuff. Add Minnesota to the list.
Yeah. Good times. Good times. Good stuff. Are we done here? I think we're just about done here. We don't have any press
it's
conference
only
clips,
11 o'clock, Curtis. What you got something to do?
Yes, actually. The report card,
Yeah.
write a story. Yeah, I still got plenty to do. But
I always, you know what's funny, Curtis? I was thinking about this right before we started the show. I'm always like, all right, I always tell myself, don't be player specific when you're talking about this game. Don't talk about players because Curtis is going to do the report card.
nah, it's okay.
And then like 2 seconds in, I'm like, Big Z. Oh, that's a great game for Big Z. And I'm like, I immediately start talking about the players.
Well, yeah, but the alternative is we're like, breaking down pick and roll coverage, and people are like, oh, just save the chalk talk. But and then that's also what, like, we do so much with the comments, and what's everybody going to comment about? The players.
Yeah.
I get it. So it's all good. But okay, I think we're out of here. So tomorrow is just kind of a normal day.
The calm before the storm is what they're calling tomorrow.
Friday gets weird. Be on the lookout. We're literally putting together a schedule for where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing for the next week. That way you guys kind of know what's going on. And we appreciate you in advance for rocking with us and tapping in and following along. The Pod at the Palace, yes, the report card will be out in the morning, and we'll continue to follow along on this journey as this team tries to make it to the NCAA tournament. Baseball season is starting. It's always time for Andrew to shine, but it's really time now. The Bombastic's rolling. If you're not subscribed, you're not tapped in on that, what the hell is wrong with you? Get with the picture. Figure it out. We'll be back with Inside Arkansas Live tomorrow. Buy our merch. Do all the things. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, Inside Arkansas. See you tomorrow.